Hey, welcome to a conversation with a community leader. I'm Cary Bozeman, your host. I'm the former mayor of Bellevue, Washington. I'm the former mayor of Bremerton, Washington, and I'm currently a Port of Bremerton commissioner. So I've been in this business for a while. And this program is sponsored and hosted by Leadership Kitsap. So thank you. And my guest today has certainly been a leader in this community for a long time, Stacy Doré. I always pronounce it. Is that a French name or something like that, Stacy?
Canadian French is my understanding.
Yeah, well, it sounds good. I like it. Yeah. And Stacy works for one of my favorite organizations, Kitsap Community Resources, which is a large organization that does a lot of good things in this community. So, Stacy, thank you for being with me. And before we get going about KCR and all the wonderful things they do, what's your background? Where'd you come from? What brought you to Kitsap County?
Well, I'm from the Midwest. I'm originally from Iowa. I'm from a small town of 100 people.
Oh, that is small.
Oh, very small. And my grandfather was a state representative for 3 years. Or 3 terms, so I was raised with, don't do anything to draw attention to your family kind of a thing. But from a town of 100 people, and went ahead and got my undergraduate in Winona State, which was in Minnesota, and then got my MBA in Phoenix, there at an international school. And while I was there, I did go over to Europe. I was in Europe for a while, and a friend of mine got a job here at the Bremerton Housing Authority. And she was from my hometown and said, hey, have you ever thought about Seattle? And before you know it, here I ended up, though, in Bremerton, and have now been here about 30 years.
Yeah, it's funny. We all move here, but nobody moves away. It's so funny about the Northwest because it rains and it's cloudy. Yep. But boy, there's something about it that we all love. What was your major in? What were you majoring in at the time?
Well, my undergraduate was in 3 areas. It was in back in the day, there was the thought that there could possibly be 4-day work weeks, or that we would be working 40 hours in 4 days. And so they needed a major called Recreation and Leisure Studies. And this was that we needed to find things for people to do with this extra time, to be mindful and to really love and appreciate themselves. So one of my degrees was in that. The other one was in therapeutic recreation. At the time, I had wanted to work in hospitals with kids with play therapy and that kind of thing.
So you always wanted to be in the social service business somewhere, right?
Well, no, I ended up, my sisters all were, and my mother was. I think she started the original Meals on Wheels for our little town of 100. She would cook all these meals and deliver it to the elderly. And my sisters all were in social services. So I did go down that path, but then I got my 3rd degree in business administration and wanted to go.
Well, you've got a wide variety of background, that's for sure. And I know we'll talk about this. You've worked for a lot of nonprofit agencies here in Bremerton. Not a lot, but a few. So let's talk about Kitsap Community Resources, which is a large organization that was led for a long time by Larry Ives, who a lot of people know in this community and respect. And I've known Larry for ever and ever. Can you describe really the mission of KCR and what its purpose is?
You bet. So KCR was really formed back in 1967. So it was out of the civil rights movement that was happening in 1964 when community action agencies were formed. So we're a 50.
Well, a community action agency is kind of a state agency funded by some state money. Is that correct?
Well, community action, so there's within Washington state, there's 39 counties, and of those 39 counties, there are 30 community action agencies. And those action agencies were really developed under Sergeant Schreiber, And he was, at the time, they were wanting the war on poverty. Many of us probably hear that term, and in that term, resonates a bit with us because we heard it for so many years as we were growing up, and et cetera, was the war on poverty. And so what Sergeant Shriver said was, well, the legislature needs to do the policy, but we don't want people in between the agency and the people. We don't want another level. So let's have the policymakers make the policy, make the relief funds or whatever programs available. Community action agencies will do the program, and then it will go to the residents directly. And that those community action agencies should be led by a tripartite board, which means that 1/3 of the board should be elected officials. You're aware of that as a port commissioner. And and we have 1/3 should be our own clients, should be from low income residents, and the other third should be the community at large. So that's really the concept of community action at the state level, but then there's also at the national level. And they really go in, and so for example, with this pandemic, it really was community action's time to rise and show the nation that when a crisis happens, your community action agency is there to help. Now, how do we help? So, for example, in 2019, we gave out $600,000 worth of rental relief. In 2020,
was that money you'd gotten from the federal government?
Mostly from Kitsap County. We also have a good partnership with the Bremerton Housing Authority as well, and with the city of Bremerton.
So KCR does rent. You're in the house. I know you do a lot of things, but housing's one of the things you do. You help people find housing.
Housing in our homeless division, correct. So back to the rent real quick. So that's through our housing division. And then once the pandemic hit, relief money is now available. That went to Kitsap County. Kitsap County relied on us. And so for the last quarter of 2020, $4.3 million was given out to Kitsap residents through KCR. Here in 2021, we've given out nearly $7.7 million of rent relief money. So when Kitsap County—
Is that program going away, that federal program, so you're not going to have that money to give away?
There will be a time, yes, then where that will, but probably not within the next 18 months or so.
Do you guys administer Section 8 housing vouchers?
We work with the Bremerton Housing Authority for that. That's
one of the things that this whole issue about affordable housing, and there's 1,000 description of affordable housing, but it used to be that people were kind of we're working, but they weren't making a lot of money, maybe $50,000, $60,000 a year, something like that. They could move into an apartment for $500 or $600 a month, and they could find that would be a place to live. And now that same apartment's $1,500 a month.
You got that right.
So for them to be able to do that, it would take 50% of their income, and that's the dilemma we're in now.
Exactly. Because affordable housing is really defined as 30% of your income, but that's just not your rent. Utilities is a part of that. Yep. So when you think about that, so let's say someone is now going to be making $14.50 per hour. Well, that ends up being about $30,000 per year. But the federal poverty level for a family of 4 is $26,500.
No.
So even that person going out there doing minimum wage, they're not making that much. So their affordable housing ends up being, like you're saying, 50%, sometimes 60%. And
then after that, it becomes homeless.
Yeah, well,
they can't afford anything, and we'll talk more about that.
Right.
What are some of the other, because it's funny about KCR, there's just a lot of people in the community that aren't that aware of KCR, even though you are a huge nonprofit, or I think your budget's $20 million or something like that.
Right.
Which might be one of the biggest nonprofits in the county for sure. What are some of the other major programs you do? I know you do a lot of work with kids.
We sure do. Actually, that was the start of, so our Head Start and Early Head Start program is
Head
50
Start, yeah.
old. Yeah, 56 years old. I have had alumni call me for testimonials regarding this program and how it has still affected them to this day. You know, they're now 62 years old and remember, in their late 50s, early 60s, remembering going to a bus to come to the KCR Early Head Start.
All right, would you describe Head Start? A lot of people don't know what that means.
So Head Start, there is a lot of data and statistics regarding just the importance of early learning. And actually, I think there is hopes that, with the child care dilemma, that the Head Start early learning model will be replicated and will expand beyond just low income folks.
So this is before kids start kindergarten. This program is pre-kindergarten. I think you serve breakfast or lunch or something like that too.
Yep, and that's even through one of our other programs, food services program, where we have a commercial kitchen here that serves 200,000 meals per year. One of our major contracts is Meals on Wheels Kitsap. So as you can tell, our programs are broad and they're deep. I mean, we serve 10% of Kitsap County's 270,000 residents. So we make a big impression. And of course, we don't do that by ourselves. We have a partnership of over 200 different nonprofits and service clubs, governments that help us.
And so much of your funding, we're going to get into private funding in a minute because I know that's what you do. So much of the funding to support all these programs comes from federal and state grants, right?
That is correct. Up to 96% of our budget comes from governmental funding.
But you've come on lately to be something that the organization's never had. You're there as the development director to raise private funding.
Correct.
From individuals like me, that sort of thing. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing there now, Stacy?
You bet. So, as we've been talking about the history of community action, so, we were developed, we were established to be this, quasi-governmental agency that really these monies flow through. We have the systems in place so that we are able to serve the residents of Kitsap County in the most efficient way we can. So with that, though, grants often don't have much of an opportunity for you to peel off much for administrative support or for doing any initiatives. There's a lot of innovative opportunities that are available. Like we knew with the pandemic, we couldn't shut down. Now, some community action agencies did all go virtual. We chose not to because we also have another division called Employment and Training Division. And we have our open computer labs here in downtown Bremerton, as do we at our South Kitsap location. Our agency was the only agency at times that had those computer labs open to provide Wi-Fi, printing, scanning, because a lot of the things that were needed for the relief monies to be dispersed was for people to fill out applications online. Well, if you're a family that doesn't have that, now you're stuck. The libraries were closed because of the pandemic. We did not do that. We stayed open every business hour through this pandemic. That was a decision of the leadership here that we needed to be here for our residents and be part of this. So what this all leads to is, so if 96% of the agency is through this governmental funding, that leaves only 4% for other opportunities. So what private fundraising does is it gives us the opportunity to be innovative and work with private foundations. For example, I'm working with the Medina Foundation, who just recently last year gave us $20,000 to build our infrastructure, to get 3 new servers, to make everything work well within our system. So we need that unrestricted money to advance ourselves, to be that high profile agency for our community to provide these programs.
So when you say unrestricted, what you mean is that there are a lot of 95% of the money that comes into KCR is specific to a program that's sponsoring, like Head Start or housing or those kind of things. So you're raising money that the organization can use for things that they believe internally are really important. And
correct.
So I might send you $100, but I wouldn't tell you how to use it. You'd make that decision yourself. So that's kind of what you're doing. All right, you guys operate out of schools too, don't you?
We sure do. We have a great, even brand new facility. You had mentioned one of our legacies here is Larry Iyer, and we do have an early learning center up at West Hills Elementary over at Naval Avenue. We have at Elmira, and over at Rosemary Moen is by the YMCA. And then we have our own right here at 1201. Park Avenue. So we serve upwards to about 400 kids between the ages of 8 weeks old up to 5 years old.
How does transportation work? Do the kids get there themselves, or do you provide transportation?
They get here themselves. And then we also have a home-based program where our home-based workers go to our own kiddos in their homes, leave packets, spend time with the parents, helping them within their home of how they can keep their children, socialized, educated, and that kind of thing. Even our little preschoolers have that opportunity as well.
And do the kids pay some fee, or does it free, or how does that work?
There is a sliding scale to it, yes, but we don't turn folks away. We do really pride ourselves when we work in the schools, for example, that we do work with behavior issues. Some of our schools do have, and of course, we do know with the pandemic that, some of our kiddos, didn't get, left in kindergarten and didn't return till 2nd grade. That's a big span of not being, within a social school setting and that kind of thing. And our staff here, as I've mentioned, has been running this program for 56 years. They're a fine-tuned machine, and we've got great results with our early.
Well, I interviewed the director of the program. What's her name? I forgot.
Connie Mueller.
Yeah. She's an amazing woman, I'll tell you.
Outstanding.
She loves what she does. Do you have a nurse on the premise for these?
We do
these
as
programs?
well. We do. Her name is Darcy Hermosa. I mean, again, we do vision screenings. We do a lot of management and early intervention of our kiddos, because we do want, every one of our families, our overall mission is that every family has the opportunity to thrive. Every family has the opportunity to be self-sufficient, and every family has the opportunity to be stable. We think those are 3 key areas that, every resident, every one of our neighbors has that right. So, that's what we, try to do.
Have you gotten in with all these programs into the vaccine issue at all, or what do you do with that?
We definitely encourage it. We do a lot of outreach. We as an agency haven't had our facilities be used for vaccines or anything like that, but we are advocates of vaccines and do encourage it, and do provide opportunities for not only our employees but our clients as well. We're very close to Marvin Williams Center that has had vaccines available and that kind of thing. So we do try to promote our partners who do offer those services.
Well, you've got a nice building. I don't know how old that building is. It seemed like we were just building it 2 years ago, but it's right
2007.
it's right near the fire station. Good location, right downtown. And I know that was great. You got a lot of staff. These things take staff. Do you have a lot of turnover? Is it hard to keep people, or in this environment we're in today?
Boy, it is tough. There's no doubt about it. We have 171. We're even, hiring folks, daily, it feels. It is hard. We are not a community action agency, but we've been talking about, philanthropy means that we're also a nonprofit. So we do our best to pay good wages, because our employees certainly work very hard. We do have employees here that, we're 56 years old, that have been here 35 years. It's not uncommon to see someone who's been here 28, 15, that kind of.
Your CFO, Umgard, has been there a long time, and she's terrific.
She is 28 years, Imgard Davis, and boy, does that.
Boy, I'll tell you, she's an angel.
Yeah.
I've dealt with Imgard a long time. I mean, when I was the mayor of the city, we used to have conversations, and she's dedicated, competent, really good. I think that organization has always had good staff. I really do. Yeah. Stacy, I want to go back to two subjects that are dear to my heart. One's this issue about housing, where people live, and the other one is the issue of homelessness. But you're building, the KCR is actually building some affordable housing, right? Tell us about that.
We're building affordable housing in Manette. It's 2115 East 19th Street. This has been a project that's been going on for about 3 years. We are going to be constructing 9 new units. They are going to be a townhouse style. It's going to be on about 1 acre. We have been meeting with the neighborhood. Of course, we've done our presentations to the city. We've purchased the land. Permitting is being completed. The land is being cleared. So we are hoping here within at the close of 2022, beginning of 2023, that we will have those units available. And so what will those mean?
So you think you're going to be in construction this year?
In 2022, I do, yes.
Okay. And it's 9 units, and these are for people that have certain income levels, right?
Well, so these are people that are actually experiencing homelessness. So they and they will be children, be with families with children. The 9 units.
Do they have to be employed, qualified?
Well, that would be things that we would be encouraging, of course, because we are wanting them to be sustainable on their own. So what each one of these families will have a case manager here at KCR. Cary, have you been to our South Kitsap location at all, down on Rain Shadow?
I'm sure I have.
Oh, it's a beautiful location. We have a family service center there. And then on that, we have about 2 acres there. It's right by the South Kitsap Park. We have 10 low income housing units there. So it's a model that we've done before. What's going to be different about this one, however, is that we, of course, won't have our service center there, but we're just a mile away.
Well, I see the county's talking about having a 1% or 0.1% sales tax increase for housing. I'm hoping that organizations like yours, if they pass it or if the public passes it, will get a benefit from that. Hey, we're running out of time here, as I knew we would. The organization's hired a new executive director. Can you introduce him? Just talk to us about who he is and where he came from.
You bet. So we're very proud that we now have a new executive director. He started with us on December 1st. His name is Anthony Ives. He comes to us. He does have roots here in Kitsap County, more in the South Kitsap area. He comes with just a real heart for community service, and is just going to be a great addition to our team. And he's already, just started on December 1st, and he's already been out introducing himself to folks, and has been very involved already with different programs and activities that have been happening here in town. So we do hope that people will soon get the opportunity to meet Tony.
Well, whoever's running that organization is a community leader, because they're involved in a lot of things in the community. So someday I'll certainly interview him and we'll introduce him to the public. I've met him. He seems like a really good person. Seems to be really excited about this new job he's on, and gosh knows, that the organization needs good leaders. So that'll be good. Stacy, is there anything I have not asked you that you'd like to say before we close this program off today?
It's just a pleasure, as always, not only to talk with you, and for you to also be, you serve on our Mission Advancement Committee, and
I do.
The insight, that you provide as well. But, Kitsap Community Resources is a jewel in our community, and is just very proud that I'm a member of it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that the organization has decided to get involved in charitable giving. I think it's well overdue, but that's a great thing, because you guys are, there's some organizations, and I won't mention them, who you wonder about the value to the community, but KCR, that is not the case. This organization makes a difference in people's lives every single day. Someday we'll do it again, and we'll talk about homelessness. I'm really concerned about that issue, and I watched how Seattle has not dealt with it, and they've got a real crisis on their hands here. And I'd like to see this community get out in front of all that. So anyway.
Cary, you'll be really interested. I just was part of the Kitsap Business Forum panel, that there's a new initiative here in 2022 regarding homelessness and foster care kids.
Well, I'm a foster care kid.
I know, that's why you would be so interested. That it was a sad stat for me that there's 309 foster kids in Kitsap County. 83 are over the age of 15, and statistics nationally show that 50% of foster kids will experience homelessness. You know that, Cary. You were one.
Well, I lived in 12 different homes in about 10 cities. And then my senior in high school, they couldn't find anybody to take me. So I lived out of my car my senior year. Well, I lived on buddies' couches my senior year. But, so I'm very familiar with this issue. Yeah. Listen, Stacy, it's been great. It went way too fast. You're a dedicated public servant in this community. Every job you've had here, you've made a difference. Boys and Girls Club, Humane Society. So thank you for everything you do for the community, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you as well.
Leadership Kitsap is our community's civic leadership program. Leadership Kitsap fosters and empowers educated, prepared, and engaged community leaders. For over 25 years, we have cultivated leaders that work collaboratively to create positive change, dedicated to making our community a better place to work and live. We expose our class to Kitsap's leaders across public, private, and nonprofit sectors. We're happy to bring many of the conversations with these leaders to you. Strong leaders build strong communities.